Okay, you're on.
We're on. Everyone, clap it up. Stony Brook, YouTube, Catherine is going to interview me. We're in Manhattan. Last couple weeks, or third to last class, interpreting visual culture. I've got the emotive cap on. I'm transparent. You see over there on your YouTube audience, on your, oh, sorry, that's the amount of diodes reading. I lubed up. And it's the amount of pads reading. And this is my doppelganger. Do we see her? Him? It's like a she-male without hair. A couple of my pads are falling, and it might get a little, might have to read it. It's not good for the hair, but here I am with Catherine. Hi, are we still on? Yeah. So she's speaking. We're going to do an interview for YouTube using the emotive cap. Jake, catch your screensaver. Last week finished up an art project in over in Brooklyn called The Ascent. It was basically one of these simple $300, $500 neurosensor cap. As the person felt euphoria or a sense of calmness, they rose up to a height of 30, 40 feet. If they looked down and panicked, they would start dropping. Simple trope, as tropes go. Trope meaning your own assigned metaphor. Okay, we've got the little face you see there. Catherine's going to ask me a series of impromptu questions, a journalist student here. Let's go to Effective Suite. Here are all my data pumping out there, excitement, calm, engagement. We just basically, this cap can read 5 separate emotions. Cool little thing, because we just read, most of us, Jaron Lanier's book, You Are Not a Gadget. Now I'm using a gadget to talk about our culture. What's out there, what's in here. Jaron Lanier talked about the individual becoming fragmented through the use of the internet, use of all these gadgets, all that stuff. Horrific, horrendous. In my opinion, this could be used as a filter. Let's go to the cognitives. Whoa! This is the cool suite. Let's get it going. It worked. I got angry, or at least faux angry. Let me get angry at Minju over there. It's not working.
At first it worked really well. Then you started.
I think Catherine, I think I have a room of believers here now. Oh, it's. I think I'm angry at something. So our studio audience can see the Effective Suite working. I dare you to find another professor who dares to wear this emotion cap in the middle of his lectures until, like, if the whole campus is doing it next year, you know where you found it first. Catherine, open up with some of your questions.
All right, so I want to start off by asking you just about your childhood and what direction you thought your life was going to take when
cool.
you were younger.
We'll see in my corresponding emotions. Oh, my childhood, don't get me started with it. Did you do it? Oh, I didn't see it. No, just kidding. My childhood, direction, great. This is the subject of a lot of novels, right? It's like I'm one of 8 kids, snowy rural Minnesota. When the winters came in, it felt like, you know, it's like months before it went away. I remember being so, like, depressed when late April we'd get like 3 feet of snow. And so that consumed me, like this thought of snow, cold. My classmates would come to school smelling, they had been out milking the cows at 6 in the morning. I respect them now, but back then it was like they came in smelling like cow manure. And now I teach at a great public university on the East Coast, and I mention cows and people go like, what? Huh? And so I guess I was surrounded by a milieu, a context. And to answer your question in as direct way as I know, I first thought of my childhood as it's my own metaphor, maybe my own problems, a prison, right? Because I knew I love my parents, love my family, even love the good state of Minnesota. You heard it, Mom. But I felt like I had to get out. So even as a kid, I said, what kind of gimmick can I do with myself? What filter? We talked about filter with Lanninger. So, okay, the prison. This is a beautiful prison. It's rural. We had 40 acres of land, thousands of trees. Our closest neighbor was a mile away. And you'd say, most city people go, what kind of prison? This is like idyllic. This is like the wild nature. You can be crying up to the moon and doing whatever you want to do in the cornfields. And I said, no. I dreamt, must have been 4-year-old, of going to New York City. So to answer your question, it's like, what did I know or want to do? I guess I had lucky parents. My dad was urban planner, landscape architect, so I knew how to chop up the little models and make the little buildings, and doing models since I was very tiny, like 3 years old. The designers, my dad was a designer, so it was more like the journeyman apprentice type. It came easy to me. So most of my siblings, it comes easy to them because that was their context. I don't know if any of you are doing the things your parents did or go like, no, don't want to do that. But it was not part of the prison. The prison was, as I said, Catherine, more of a gimmick. It's kind of a harsh gimmick for a kid, but I had 7 brothers and sisters, so why not? Why not think I had to get out of somewhere? Now, did I ever think, did I want to drive a BMW? I always thought I wanted a house. I always thought I wanted a spouse, but I had like 5 or 6 of those. Just kidding.
Did you ever think that you were going to end up like the rest?
Did it lie? Did it go up?
You went backwards.
As the audience, when I talk about spouses, it went into the anger realm. Did it?
Yeah.
Sorry. I won't let that show.
Yeah, definitely.
See you, ladies.
Yeah. Did you think you were going to end up like the average person in Minnesota in your small town? Did you really believe that maybe, even though you had this upbringing and it was so diverse and so different from everybody else's around you, did you think that you were just going to fall back into that?
Well, I guess like most of you, I love Stony Brook students because they're often, not always, but we talked about the public school. They're the good kids, or often, not always, in bad systems. And they fight so hard to get out of bad systems that they land at Stony Brook. It's like, whew, now it's a plateau. To answer your question, Catherine, I felt like the context, I felt like I was in a tribe. That if you didn't kind of obey the implicit rule, and they're all implicit, they were never explicit, rules of the tribe, you're sort of like, what's going on? Let's rein him back in. And that's human nature. What am I squared here? Oh, went back. Troubled memories. Who else felt like grew up in a tribe? No one? You came from diverse systems, you could belong to what tribe you wanted? No. Remy? No?
Being mixed, like Chinese and Polish.
You had a couple tribes.
Yeah. And I lived in like an Irish neighborhood, so it was all Catholic. My dad's Jewish.
Remy, you are the typical Stony Brook student, man. You're the demographic all these NIMBY liberals say, well, who is this? But Jay, it's funny that the Midwestern guys say, oh no.
Yeah.
All that land, that's what I can never get, Catherine. All that land, all that space, all that expanse, and yet the tribe was strong. Jay, similar?
Yeah, the group that I grew up in was a strong evangelical Christian background, so.
Which you said you had a falling out with.
Yeah. I did not. I got to the point where I'm like, no, this is not for me, and that was not well looked upon. I was accused of being demon possessed for disagreeing.
That's so Catherine, that's ironic because I've since dreamt about coming to New York since I was 4. As soon as I landed, happiest day of my life. Like hell, I love this city. I always dreamt about, I don't know why, the smelly shit I loved about it, the bad stuff I loved. It was like I was like a big city guy,
And what was the first direction you took once you got into the city?
First direction, unfortunately, was like a relationship.
You went full-blown relationship.
Yeah, I met this woman. She said, come down, live with me, blah, blah, blah. You know, it always
Where were
been
you
like,
living at the time?
what does it do?
It jumped low. Jumped way up.
Jumped way up. I don't think she's, I moved to Lower Manhattan, you know? It was like cool. It's like, as soon as I graduated from Yale, jumped in a car, came the same day. Said, I'm starting, I'm working. Boom. And I started working.
What did you go to Yale for? What
For
did you
design, scenography design, design related things. So it was easy for me because my dad did it. I mean, to me, design is all related. D with a capital D. If you know composition, form, mass void, how to draw, all of that stuff translates, you know, you might disagree professionally, but it translates to art, to architecture, to urban planning, to scenography, to media, to whatever. 3D, 2D, 3D design, all of that. Skills. I always had a kind of, even though I grew up in the cornfields, I felt I had a skill level that could apply anywhere. And I was interested, maybe because the cornfields were ubiquitous, they could have been the internet, right? They could have been like saying, oh, and I've lived in 4 or 5 big cities in the world, Seoul, Tokyo, Singapore, Rome, a couple more. And I felt like, this is like my backyard. I don't know where that comes from, but skills. So I felt like actually what you guys were saying, that the skills level I got from my good parents, but I still had that feeling like, okay, now I want, like the Birdman of Alcatraz, now I want to get out.
So once you successfully get your first job in the city and you're basically married or in love, what then? What was the next step? Where did you see yourself once you got into the city? Was it that job, or did you see yourself up higher?
You know, it becomes, and I like these questions, Catherine, because it becomes, and maybe I was wrong, but maybe it's kind of correct. I said, well, okay, more of the same. The gig should get bigger. The paycheck should get bigger. I might have been thinking once a man, we talked about neoteny, right? It's like, how long do we take to develop before we explode and try this out? Last week we talked about simulation. How long do we simulate something before we get into a real war or whatever? I maybe had a mistaken idea, and I'm glad you young people are asking these questions, that you only add more. You don't add different quality, you're set. You just add the bigger paycheck, more of it, make it come faster. I was freelancing, I still continue to freelance in addition to lecture and be a professor and all of that, diversify. And I think maybe that was a mistake because life, like Lanier said, life does come in qualities. And sometimes we don't know, like you're seeing the quality of my inner life here, as opposed to maybe conjoining with what I'm actually saying. And maybe this is, oh, it did something there. Maybe it's a form of truth-telling. That's what surprised me the most. I thought once I hit these benchmarks, maybe they were my father's benchmarks, then all I had to do was add quantity. How many of you others feel that way? But what was surprising to me, I'm glad you asked this question, it was like a minefield. It's like a minefield of separate qualities. It's like, okay, more of the same, but I'm working until late at night just to work 2 or 3 jobs together, blah, blah, blah. And the partner goes like, hey, dude, you know, you're a workaholic. What's going on? What's, you know, oh, I'm trying to reach this goal. Well, just chill about it. Like the thing in the elevator thing, just chill about the goals. I said, I can't chill because I gotta, you know, I gotta do this. I got more, you know. So I guess the quality, I thought, and I wasn't crass, but it's like the quality, the quantity of more often doesn't solve problems.
And at what point did you turn around and say, I don't want to work just doing this anymore. I want to actually go into teaching and kind of spread my knowledge throughout?
I knew, when I got to New York, I was freelancing like, must have been like 5, 6 jobs a month. It was a lot. And the more, it was compulsive. The more I took on, I mean, the more they came up, I would just say yes to. And probably all of you think that way. If you get a job doing it, it's like, yeah, oh, yeah, yeah. And you say, sleep. I can sleep when I'm dead. You know, stuff like that. So it was actually, my dad was a professor. He was a designer, and it was kind of strangely was going into his field. He would like do his design work and then educate a lot of his students went on to Ivy League schools and came back, and now they're hiring him, and they appreciate that. I hope you guys get to that state. I get to the state with you. But I guess it was like the koala bear. If the koala bear just eats eucalyptus leaves, then you're vulnerable, right? There's not a diversity of what you do. I feel fortunate that I am a professor not giving because you're paying for it, rendering my knowledge of the world, but also I have a deeper respect for you because I'm also on this, as opposed to other colleagues I know. I'm on the street trying to do it too, like you guys. Like, let's scare up the next gig. Let's think about these new gimmicks. Why are the young people all playing around with the smartphones? Why? Why are we? And I feel fortunate to be this close to New York and teach 40 miles away because I can get into the city. I actually this year got hired by a couple of my ex-Stony Brook students to do little jobs. I try and hire you guys in. I try and make it an ecosystem, like not just like, hey, get your grade, get out of here. I do that to a lot of people, but I don't wish to do that because what I'm saying, Catherine, is I wanted more of an ecology out of my life than like, oh, but they train you in business school. Oh, be forceful, just go for it, man. And
so which one would you say is your bigger passion, teaching or designing?
I hope the ecology works for both, because I use you guys. I use your minds as springboards and say, do you think it's cool? No, I don't think it's cool. So why doesn't Remy think this is cool, this thing? Oh, because of this. And I listen to that. And I like the lecture. I think it's such, I wish it all on you guys that you get around to teaching too, only for this fact. It is such a pleasure feeding yourself intellectually. And that is like the greatest kick on earth, man. If you've got, and you guys sometimes complain about reading and assign, do you know how much of a joy it is to reread this book? Or to just re-eat? Meanwhile, everyone else is designing toilet handles, or flipping switches, or day trading, pushing numbers around. And you're digesting the best of your culture, and you're spitting it back to young people who might be ADD or not care or whatever. You can try and make them care. And in the act of trying to make them care, there's nothing, I mean, eating a culinary meal, beautiful sex, beautiful music, ain't nothing better. The joys of beautiful intellectual, sending it through your body and then out. So that's what I mean about teaching. It goes in here, it swims around here, and then it goes joyfully out to you guys. I don't know what you're picking up. You usually can tell. But it's a joy I wish on you guys. So that my fighting to make you guys write the blog is actually developing an area of expertise. I'm sounding didactic in the interview here. 1 minute. But then also sending it back out to the world. At some point, whatever your expertise becomes, it's not about sharing. It's not the big touchy-feely world. Teaching is very selfish. It's the ability to take intellectual thoughts and discourses of your society and put them through your body again. In a sense, I'm not like the grad school ever graduated because I'm on the streets with you guys. I'm trying to scare up the next gig. But it's really sending it through your body again.
But what brings in the money?
Both.
Both?
Sometimes I can make my salary in research, and sometimes my research becomes more than my salary.
And do you ever feel that you will retire from one or the other?
Hopefully not. My dad hasn't. So are we out of time?
20 seconds.
20 seconds. Thank you for the interview, Catherine.
Right.
And see you now. Oh, there's my square to that. We'll make the square do something genuine. It did.